Welcome to Brewing with Power. This is Alex, and today I bring you new Anje, no madness. This is a Rakdos deck trying to utilize Anje with a twist. This is the newest version of Anje that was printed in Crimson Vow, Anje, Maid of Dishonor. Now this creature looks really, really cool. It's a legendary creature vampire, two colorless, one black, one red. And it says whenever Anje Maid of Dishonor and one or more other vampires enter the battlefield under your control, create a blood token. This ability triggers only once each turn, right? It's an artifact, and a blood token, if you're not familiar, is an artifact that says for one colorless, tap it, discard a card, sacrifice this artifact, draw a card. And then you can pay 2, sacrifice another creature or a blood token. Each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. So we're going to try and leverage some fun mechanics, as well as take a little bit of a sneak peek from the next set, the unset, with a card called Sonhalf. And I'm really excited to talk a little bit about that. Before we go any further, I wanted to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Moxfield. Moxfield proves time and time again why they are the best site for brewing and building your Magic the Gathering decks. They have recently launched new features like enhanced tagging for more robust organization, drag and drop across views for easier sorting, and a collection tracker to help you figure out which cards you have for your deck and which ones you need to acquire. This is on top of the already polished features like multiple format support, robust search, and full compatibility across multiple devices. Make sure to make Moxfield your home for all your deck lists, just like Playing with Power has done for over a year. So with this deck, I really thought a lot about, some of the things I've been really seeing that have been really effective, some of the strategies that I want to implement that I think Anje might do really well with, as well as try and find some commander agnostic combos that might be really cool. So first, let's break down the creatures. There's 15 creatures in the deck. We have Dragons, Rage Channeler, Ragavan, Stitcher Supplier, Dark Confidant, Dothy, Dockside Extortionist, Azra Oddsmaker, Bergie, Imperial Recruiter, Opposition Agent, Simian Spirit Guide, Necroticus, Scourge Familiar, Asmodeus, the Archfiend, and World Gorger Dragon. World Gorger Dragon is going to be one of our main lines here. With World Gorger Dragon and cards like Animate Dead, Dance of the Dead, or Necromancy, you can flicker all of your permanents, including Anje. When Anje enters the battlefield, you make a blood token. Also, because it's exiling all your permanents, including your lands, when they come back onto the battlefield, you'll be able to tap them, and then for mana, floating the mana, they'll get exiled, they'll come back, and you can do that process over and over and over. And if you aren't familiar with World Gorger Dragon, Ryan from Playing with Power wants to personally welcome you to the family, because this is his favorite card. World Gorger Dragon has a really interesting effect, multiple effects. First, when it enters the battlefield, you remove all other permanents you control from the game. And then, when it leaves play, you can return all removed cards to play under their owner's control. So, what you can do is you can throw this card, World Gorger Dragon, into the graveyard and reanimate it with Animate Dead, Dance of the Dead, or Necromancy. Really interesting line that happens here. So, when you animate it, World Gorger Dragon will enter the battlefield, right? And then you will remove all of the other permanents, including the enchantment. When the enchantment leaves the battlefield, World Gorger will die, bringing back the enchantment, which then can reattach itself to a World Gorger Dragon. And this loop can go over and over to make infinite mana. And with Anje on the battlefield, you can start sacrificing, you can start making blood tokens and then sacrificing them to drain everyone else's life. And you can get infinite life, or enough life that it doesn't matter. So that's the thing. When we look at some of the other creatures and some of the other lines, I wanted to make sure that we didn't get just locked out by another thing, and I really wanted to get that as much as I could in this deck. So I added a couple combos that I thought were really cool, including a spicy line, and I'm going to talk about that last because it's really interesting to me. So let's talk a little bit about the creatures. So we have Dragons, Rage Channeler in a deck where we want to get cards into the graveyard. this is a card that's really good at doing that. We have a lot of artifacts, we have a lot of sorceries, we have a lot of instants, so it's really easy for us to kind of fill up our graveyard rather quickly to try and get some value from an Underworld Breach, or try to do some lines with our Scourge Familiar and our Necrotic Ooze or our World Gorger Dragon. That's the main reason why we have Dragon Rage Channeler in the deck. Ragavan is a great value engine early. Stitcher Supplier is a creature I'll talk about a little bit later. Dark Confidant is a value engine. Dothy Voidwalker is another value engine. Dockside Extortionist gets you lots of mana and is a part of a line that I'm going to talk about. Azra Oddsmaker is another card that does well with cards like World Gorger Dragon when you're trying to reanimate stuff. Burgay is really good because when we start doing some of our Storm, it allows us to kind of just keep going and not run out of gas. Imperial Recruiter searches for our Dockside and also for our Stitcher Supplier. Let's see. We are also going to look at Opposition Agent, which is really, really good right now. A lot of tutors and a lot of opponents' libraries. It really can allow us to make best use of our Wishclaw Talisman as well. And then we have our Simian Spirit Guide. This is a typical creature that you would run if you want to Storm, which we want to do. Necrotic Ooze, which is, again, a part of a line that I love. Scourge Familiar and Asmodeus are part of that line, and I'll go over that right now. So when you have Necrotic Ooze, Scourge Familiar, and Asmodeus, you can use a card in this deck, Buried Alive, to do this. So you cast Buried Alive, you put these 3 creatures in the graveyard. What you can do from here is reanimate the Necrotic Ooze, and then it gets both Scourge Familiars and Asmodeus the Archfiend's effects. With Scourge Familiar, you can discard a card to add a black mana to your mana pool. With Asmodeus, you can pay 3 black to draw 7 cards. So what this does is it allows you to discard 3 cards, draw 7 cards, discard 3 cards, draw 7 cards. So we are able to essentially draw as many cards as we want, put as many cards into the graveyard as we want, allowing us to enable this combo where we are then going to be able to reanimate using Animate Dead or anything like that. Really, really great combo. I really like it, and it's very, very clean. It could even cost as little as 4 mana if we have Reanimate and Buried Alive specifically. Let's look at our last combo in the creature category. So we have Stitcher Supplier. And this is a normal combo that you see in decks that don't run Brain Freeze because they're not in blue, and you're trying to do stuff with Underworld Breach. But what we really want to do is use Saw in Half. So Saw in Half is a new card from the unset that is legal, that you can play it once the set releases. Destroy target creature. If that creature dies this way, its controller creates two tokens that are copies of that creature, except they have base power that's half of that creature's power, and their base toughness is half that creature's toughness, round up each time. So what you do is you cast Stitcher Supplier, put 3 cards into your graveyard, and then you can cast Saw in Half on Stitcher Supplier. Stitcher Supplier will die, it will mill 3 more cards, and then you'll get 2 new Stitcher Suppliers, and those Stitcher Suppliers will both mill you 3 cards. This is really good with Underworld Breach. Underworld Breach allows you to cast cards from your graveyard, but you need a lot of cards there to do this. And with this combination, you basically are able to get as many cards as you want into the graveyard. And that is an amazing synergy that I think is just wonderful. On top of that, if you're able to use Saw in Half to get out maybe to get 2 Docksides, and then you have Dockside in your graveyard, and then you can recast the original Dockside to just make a ton of mana, that's another way to kind of utilize this card in this deck. Really, really funky, but really awesome at the same time. Okay, let's look at our sorceries. So we have Faithless Looting, Gamble, Imperial Seal, Reanimate, Rite of the Flame, Demonic Tutor, Diabolic Intent, Shatter Skull, Summon, Smashing, Twin Flame, Unmarked Grave, Buried Alive, Grim Tutor, Jessica's Wills, Praetor's Grasp, Wheel of Fortune, Yawgmoth's Will, Final Parting, and Peer into the Abyss. A lot of these cards are typical cards you would see in most decks. The cards that are exceptions to this are Unmarked Grave, because it can allow us to get World Gorger Dragon into the graveyard. We also have Final Parting, which again, it is an enabler, so it allows you to search for the World Gorger Dragon, put it in your graveyard, and then you can then put your reanimation spell in your hand. And that just, it's a one-on-one combo here. Okay, so we have Twin Flame in the deck, but we don't have Dual Caster Mage. I really just wanted Twin Flame to double up on the cut Saw in Half stuff. So Twin Flame allows us to get another Dockside, or another Stitcher Supplier. I really just wanted to make copies. I really did. So that's why we have that in the deck. And then lastly, when it comes to our sorceries, we do have a Peer into the Abyss, draw a lot of cards, make a lot of mana. That's what this deck wants to do. So in terms of instants, nothing too extraordinary. We have Fork, which is cool, and then Saw in Half, which is really, really fun. We also have a Final Fortune. Final Fortune just helps us if we weren't able to get there at the end of one turn, we can take another turn and really try and go off. I really like Final Fortune for this reason. It is our Let's Go All In card, so it's there. Let's see. In our artifacts, we have a basic package. We do run Wishcall Talisman. It does do a thing with Opposition Agent. But mostly just this is our last tutor. This is an all-in kind of deck, so we want to have an all-in kind of card. And then we have our enchantments: Animate Dead, Dance of the Dead, Underworld Breach, Necromancy, Necropotence. These are all cards that you would see in a normal Reanimator deck. These 3 reanimation spells specifically are important because we want to be able to reanimate our World Gorger Dragon. Breach is really fun in this deck, and because we're putting so many things in our graveyard, it's going to be pretty good. We are running 29 lands, 30 if you include the MDFC. Nothing really notable in our lands. I did add Cabal Pit because I do like the idea of making a creature have -2/-2, specifically making sure cards like Opposition Agent, because that card can really hose us, can get dealt with, and I like that a lot. Let's see, anything else in here? No, I think that's it. This deck is a Reanimator deck. Really fun things. It uses Anje with the World Gorger Dragon loop, and I like that a lot. It's enabled pretty easily in this deck. So yeah, let's take it for a spin. Okay, so we play this Arid Mesa. We can play Mox Diamond. We can pitch the Badlands. We can cast Jeweled Lotus. We can crack this. We can grab a View All Blood Crypt. We'll lose 2 life. That's fine. We'll tap here, crack this, cast Anje, and then we can tap this to cast Springleaf Drum, and now we have mana to use for Red Elemental Blast. Okay. Yikes. Okay. This hand seems good. Yeah, we'll keep this hand. All right, Saw in Half. Wow, because why not? Land, Mana Vault, pass here. Oh, jeez. Land, cast Ragavan. We can crack this. You all. We can grab a Badlands. We can tap this for a Faithless Looting. Draw 2, discard 2. We'll discard this and this. Okay, let's pass the turn. All right, we're gonna tap like this. Bergie will have a colorless floating. It's okay, the colorless can go away. We can attack with Ragavan, make a treasure, and then use the treasure to cast Imperial Seal, which will get LED. Lion's Eye Diamond. Okay, I'll have a red floating. Tap here. Let's look at our graveyard. Tap here. Cast Underworld Breach. This is still on top of our library. Make a red. Discard these 3. Cast Faithless Looting. Draw 2. Discard Gemstone Caverns. Discard Saw in Half. We didn't flash it back. We're actually casting it for its regular cost. Cast LED. Make a red. Sack this for 3 red. Sack this for 3 red. Cast Wheel of Fortune. 4, 5, 6, 7. Just let's exile Gemstone Caverns, Scourge Familiar, and Faithless Looting. Okay. Right. So in this moment, we need to be able to discard more cards. So we have yet to play a land. So we do this land, crack it, and then we can cast Cabal Ritual, and then we can recast our Wheel of Fortune, and then we can start looping Wheel of Fortune. So this deck does a lot of things. A majority of the time when we're looking at what's good or what's bad, I think it's just play testing the deck that's really going to get us to where we want to go. I really like Saw in Half. I really want to see how it performs in a game. I think play testing can be really, really tough, but a lot of the time when you are just looking to see what a card can do, you're really trying to just test it out. I want to see what a line looks like as we get further and further along. But a majority of the time when we're looking at World Gorger Dragon loops, or we're looking at Saw in Half loops, it's really important to just think a little outside of the box, look for these cards that you put in the deck, and try to get it to work. Thank you again for watching the game, and I hope you enjoyed today's Brewing with Power. I will check you out on the next one. All right, bye everybody.